61% of Americans making over $250,000 a year do not drive luxury cars. They drive ordinary Toyotas, Fords, and Hondas. While the guy next door is leasing a temporary status symbol, the smart money is playing a completely different game, looking poor. Meet Bob. He's 36, works in tech, and pulls in a clean $160,000 a year. To the outside world, Bob is the definition of the American dream. He lives in a master-planned suburb, wears Apple Watch Ultra, and his truck screams success. But here is the dirty secret Bob won't tell you: his bank account is a graveyard. That $90,000 truck? Financed at 7% interest for 72 months. That suburban home? Leveraged to the absolute max. Bob doesn't own his lifestyle, his debt owns him. If Bob loses his job tomorrow, his entire kingdom collapses in exactly 45 days. He is running on a financial treadmill that never stops, completely exhausted, just to keep up with a crowd that doesn't care. Now, look at Dave, parking right next to Bob. Dave drives a faded 2011 Honda Civic with a small dent on the bumper. His co-workers secretly pity him. They assume Dave is struggling, maybe trapped in a paycheck-to-paycheck loop, or one medical emergency away from ruin. What they don't know is that Dave has $4.2 million compounding quietly in low-cost index funds. His mortgage is zero. His kids' college funds are completely cash-flowed. Dave could walk into his boss's office right now, say "I quit," and never work another day in his life. He chooses the Civic on purpose. This isn't a fictional movie script. This is the statistical reality of wealth in America. According to extensive research from the Millionaire Next Door, the median price real millionaires pay for their vehicles is just around $31,000. A brutal study by Experian Automotive dropped a bomb on the luxury car industry. 8% of people earning under $100,000 are buying or leasing premium luxury vehicles. They are spending $70,000 on depreciating assets while making $60,000 a year. One group spends everything to look wealthy, the other group stays invisible to actually be wealthy. And in 2026, these two groups are rarely the same people. This video is not about being cheap. It's not about skipping your morning coffee or living like a hermit. This is about discovering a lethal financial strategy that 99% of people realize too late. In a world built on fake rich credit, looking poor is your ultimate superpower. Consumer culture has weaponized your need for attention. They've trained your brain to believe that if you don't display your success, you don't possess it. But every single dollar you inject into your outer appearance is a dollar that you violently rip away from your compound growth engine. Bob chose the visibility trap. Dave chose the stealth advantage. And here is the dark twist: looking wealthy in America doesn't just empty your bank account, it actively turns you into a target. It invites a specific set of silent taxes, legal threats, and cyber scams that the invisible wealthy completely avoid. Next, we are breaking down the exact mathematical and dangerous reasons why advertising your money makes you vulnerable, and how the modern American matrix is rigged to overcharge you the second you look rich. Let's unmask the visible wealth tax. The moment you signal that you have money in America, the economy shifts into a hidden pricing tier. It's what behavioral economists call ability to pay calibration, but in the real world, it's just a polite way of saying you're getting ripped off. When you drive into a dealership, call a plumber to a high-end zip code, or get a quote for a home renovation wearing a luxury watch, you are not paying for materials or labor. You are paying an unwritten visual rich tax. Salespeople and service providers are trained to calibrate their margins based on your appearance. If you look like you can afford to get squeezed, they will squeeze you. Let's look at the brutal mechanics of a contractor negotiation. A comprehensive study on consumer pricing friction reveals that service businesses routinely apply a 30% to 50% premium for the exact same job if it's located in an upscale zip code. If the homeowner in zip code B drives an expensive luxury SUV, the contractor knows there's no pressure to offer a competitive rate. They assume budgeting isn't a priority for you. On the flip side, when the invisible millionaire in zip code A requests a quote while standing next to a dented Toyota, the contractor assumes every dollar is being scrutinized. They offer their tightest, most aggressive pricing because they know they have to earn the job. Your ordinary appearance is your ultimate negotiating leverage. Flashiness completely surrenders that power. This financial upsell doesn't stop with service providers. It is engineered directly into retail. High inequality societies survive on status signaling. Premium brands aren't selling superior utility. A $50 watch tracks time identically to a $50,000 piece of jewelry. The extra thousands of dollars you pay are simply an upscale tax to signal superiority over your peers. Warren Buffett famously noted that he never worried about being overcharged in business or life because his modest appearance stripped salespeople of their premium leverage. He bought standard utility at standard rates, allowing the surplus to stay inside his compounding machine. When you look poor, you pay the regular rate. When you look wealthy, you pay a lifetime wealth tax on everything you consume. In the digital age, broadcasting your affluence doesn't just invite higher bills from local contractors, it puts a giant, flashing neon target on your back for modern cyber criminals. Welcome to the era of whaling attacks. Unlike mass phishing scams that blast generic emails to millions of low-income targets, whaling operations are meticulously crafted, highly weaponized operations designed to extract millions from elite targets. Cyber syndicates don't waste time guessing who has money. They monitor social media footprints, geotags, and public property registries. When you display an affluent lifestyle online, you are literally giving international hackers a blueprint of your net worth. This isn't just about someone stealing your credit card number to buy groceries. The fastest growing financial crime in the United States right now is synthetic identity fraud. Criminals harvest pieces of real data from affluent individuals, blend it with fabricated social security numbers, and construct an entirely new, highly credible financial profile. According to the Federal Trade Commission, Americans lost a staggering $10.3 billion to sophisticated fraud. Investment scams alone swallowed over $4.5 billion. Whaling attackers use advanced open-source intelligence to map out your trusted inner circle. They impersonate your wealth managers, private bankers, or family attorneys, using artificial intelligence to mimic voices and writing styles. They manipulate you into authorizing massive wire transfers or relinquishing control of your compounding assets. A modest, invisible digital footprint makes you completely unlucrative to audit. Flashiness turns you into a goldmine worth cracking. The ironclad defense mechanism against modern financial hunting is deep camouflage. When you look completely middle class, you blend into the vast background noise of the general public. Cyber criminals operate on strict return on investment models. They don't waste weeks of deep-layer social engineering on someone who drives a dented 2011 Honda Civic or posts pictures of ordinary backyard barbecues. While the high-income lifestyle inflator is constantly changing passwords and dealing with frozen accounts from security breaches, the quiet wealth builder operates in complete isolation. Looking ordinary doesn't mean you are vulnerable. It means you are strategically hidden. You are protecting your capital from the ultimate predators of the digital landscape. Looking rich advertises exactly what you have to lose. Looking poor shields it from the people who want to take it. Every single luxury purchase in America operates on a psychological bait-and-switch. It's a biological trap known as the hedonic treadmill, and the consumer corporate complex has calibrated it down to a precise science, the 60-day illusion. When you sign the paperwork for that $80,000 luxury truck or walk out of the store with a designer bag, your brain floods your system with a massive spike of dopamine. You feel successful. You feel validated. For exactly 60 days, that new asset delivers an emotional high every single time you step inside or put it on. But neuroscience proves that human biology adapts to pleasure faster than any other stimulus. By day 61, the novelty completely evaporates. The leather seats become ordinary. The advanced dashboard becomes invisible background noise. The luxury asset simply becomes your new baseline reality. The illusion dies, but the financial contract survives. You are left with zero emotional return, paired with a brutal, multi-year financial obligation. You are now working 20 hours every single week just to service the debt of an item that doesn't even bring you joy anymore. This is where the status anxiety turns toxic. Because the dopamine high faded, the consumerist brain assumes the solution is to upgrade again. You need a faster car, a bigger house, a newer watch. You are forced to run faster and faster on the treadmill, compounding your debt levels, just to maintain a baseline level of artificial satisfaction. You are sacrificing your actual lifetime freedom for 10 seconds of visual validation from coworkers who are too consumed with their own status anxiety to even notice yours. Quiet wealth builders understand how to manipulate this biological loophole. Instead of seeking dopamine from depreciating consumer goods that lose value the moment they cross the retail threshold, they anchor their satisfaction to financial security. Dave doesn't get a high from the car he drives, he gets a profound, uninterrupted sense of peace from knowing his net worth can buy his freedom at any moment. He bypassed the 60-day illusion entirely. When you opt out of the display game, you break the dopamine loop. You stop buying things to impress a society running on financial fumes, and you start purchasing the only asset that actually matters, your time. Let's stop talking about feelings and look at the cold, hard numbers. Because consumerism works by hiding the real price tag. When you upgrade from a perfectly functional $30,000 car to an $80,000 status symbol, you think you're just spending an extra 50 grand. You are wrong. You are neglecting the single most dangerous law of building wealth, opportunity cost. That $50,000 price difference is seed money. If you rip that capital away from the dealership and drop it into a standard index fund compounding at a conservative annual return over a 25-year career, that gap transforms into a staggering $270,000 plus. That is the real cost of your upgrade. You didn't buy a luxury vehicle. You signed a contract that explicitly traded $250,000 of your retirement security for a piece of depreciating metal that loses 20% of its value the second you drive it off the lot. This calculation applies to every single microflex in American culture. Think about the everyday millionaire research. The legendary cigarette example from historical wealth data showed that a couple spending money on 3 packs a day for 46 years literally incinerated an amount that exceeded the entire value of their home. Had that cash flow been redirected into simple investments, their portfolio would have breezed past $2 million. Look at two professionals earning the exact same $200,000 a year. The visible spender saves a weak 5% because their income is locked down by a massive suburban mortgage, high-end leases, and luxury social expectations. After 25 years, they accumulate roughly $680,000. The invisible wealthy individual scales back, looks ordinary, and saves 25% of that same salary. At the exact same investment return, they cross the finish line with $3.4 million. The first person looks wealthy. The second person actually is wealthy. One has a garage full of outdated luxury junk. The other has a financial fortress that generates 5 times the net worth. The math of looking poor is completely bulletproof. Every single status symbol has an alternate destiny measured in decades of compound growth. When you choose to look poor, you are simply shifting your capital from public display to private compounding. You are giving up a tiny slither of temporary validation from strangers on the road to buy absolute control over your future destiny. The next time you see a flashy asset, don't calculate the monthly payment. Calculate the multi-decade opportunity cost. Stop funding the bank's balance sheet and start building your own in the dark. Beyond the cold mechanics of math and cybersecurity, broadcasting wealth inside your own home triggers a dangerous psychological dynamic. In America, it's what wealth researchers call economic outpatient care, and it is a multi-generational curse. When your lifestyle constantly advertises affluence, your children internalize a toxic assumption. They assume a permanent safety net exists. Comprehensive sociological tracking reveals a brutal negative correlation. Adult children who receive consistent financial injections from wealthy parents accumulate significantly less wealth through their own efforts compared to peers from modest households. By showcasing your riches, you send a subliminal message to your children that you don't trust their innate ability to produce on their own. You destroy their financial hunger, leaving them completely unequipped for the realities of the American economy. The damage doesn't stop with your children, it spreads violently across your extended family and social circles. Visible wealth creates an invisible expectation tax. The moment you pull up to family reunions in an expensive European SUV, the relational dynamic mutates. You are suddenly expected to cash flow every group dinner, fund every family emergency, and provide interest-free loans that everyone secretly intends never to repay. If you agree, you become a human ATM, breeding resentment because they feel dependent on your charity. If you refuse, you are labeled arrogant and greedy, shattering lifelong relationships. Visible wealth creates a toxic echo chamber of class disparity within your own bloodline. Looking middle class allows you to filter out these financial distortions completely. It keeps your family ecosystem clean, practical, and unburdened by social pressure. Quiet wealth builders protect their family's ambition by operating under deep cover. Dave's children grow up in an ordinary, unflashy household. They assume they have to work hard, study, and build their own financial foundation because they have no idea a multi-million-dollar empire is sitting quietly in index funds. Dave preserves his children's hunger to succeed while retaining the absolute power to support them strategically behind the scenes, funding a silent down payment or business venture only after they've proven their work ethic. Looking poor isn't about hiding assets from the people you love, it's about insulating the people you love from the toxic complacency of unearned comfort. True legacy isn't an inheritance that makes your kids lazy, it's an invisible fortress that forces them to become strong. The United States is currently battling a severe, documented loneliness epidemic. But when you couple that isolation with aggressive wealth signaling, you create a toxic psychological phenomenon known as the trust paradox. As your visible status climbs, your relational trust fundamentally plummets. The moment you brandish luxury consumer assets, you change how people evaluate your presence. Behavioral studies track a brutal reality. Affluent-looking individuals experience significantly higher rates of social distance and relational distortion. When you wear your net worth on your sleeve, your circle begins to filter you through a transactional lens. You inadvertently eliminate the ability to answer a critical human question: do these people value my character, or are they simply positioning themselves to leverage my financial baseline? This is where looking poor becomes an unassailable filter engine for human connection. When you look entirely ordinary, middle class, and average, you strip everyone around you of an alternate motive. You eliminate any secondary payoff for their attention. The person driving the old sedan or wearing basic attire maintains an incredible social advantage. They receive raw, unfiltered, and authentic human feedback. Nobody is laughing at their bad jokes just to stay on a luxury guest list. No one is agreeing with their opinions to secure an investment. Nobody treats them differently based on an imagined financial ladder. Looking poor strips away the social vampires, sycophants, and transactional networkers who feed off affluent display, automatically leaving you with a circle built entirely on genuine alignment and mutual respect. It provides a level of relational clarity that no amount of money can purchase. Quiet wealth builders value authenticity far above admiration. Dave's middle-class presentation allows him to navigate any social tier in America with complete freedom. He avoids the deep, silent resentment that high economic inequality breeds in modern social circles. While the visible status inflator is constantly wondering if their friends are real or merely auditing their garage, the invisible millionaire sleeps with absolute peace of mind. They don't need an entourage of yes-men bought with expensive dinners. By deciding to look ordinary, you reclaim your identity. You ensure that your friendships are rooted in who you are, not what you own. You stop wasting energy performing on a social stage for an audience that doesn't love you, and you start investing in connections that can't be bought with a lease or a label. Understanding the psychology of quiet wealth is completely useless unless you possess a tactical framework to execute it inside the modern American landscape. You cannot defeat a multi-billion-dollar marketing matrix by relying purely on willpower. You need a systemic design. You need an unassailable strategy that completely disconnects your income from your outward appearance. This is your three-step operational blueprint to exit the status trap permanently and build an invisible empire in the dark. Step 1 is your primary defense line against impulse consumption, the 24-hour cool-off rule. Modern retail software is specifically engineered to exploit your immediate biological vulnerability, triggering fast, unmonitored checkout experiences while your dopamine levels are peaking. The moment you feel the sudden urge to acquire a premium luxury item or status asset, you force a mandatory 24-hour structural delay. During this cool-off window, you take the current retail price tag and calculate its multi-decade opportunity cost compounded inside a simple index fund at an ordinary 7% return. You force your logical brain to evaluate a brutal choice. Do you actually want this consumer object today, or would you prefer a massive, multi-thousand-dollar block of pure time freedom in your future? 90% of the time, when the artificial dopamine haze fades after 24 hours, the desire to purchase completely vanishes. Step 2 is the structural automation of your cash flow, automated financial hiding. In the behavioral economy, if money sits inside your standard checking account, it is mathematically destined to be spent. The human brain naturally expands its consumption to match the visible boundaries of its available liquidity. To break this cycle, you must render your investment capital completely invisible to your daily self. Set up automated payroll allocations that instantly siphon off 15%, 20%, or 30% of your pre-tax income the exact millisecond your direct deposit lands. Redirect this money straight into low-cost Vanguard or Fidelity index funds, automated brokerage accounts, or real estate reserves before it ever hits your primary bank account. If you never see the money sitting in your everyday balance, your brain naturally builds a lifestyle around the remaining, ordinary amount. You look middle class on paper because your spending account is engineered to look lean, while your invisible compounding engine runs at maximum velocity in the background. Step 3 is your ultimate reality check, the pre-tax wealth evaluation test. This mathematical formula completely separates high-income lifestyle allocators from genuine wealth builders. Take your current age, multiply it by your pre-tax annual household income, and then divide that total number by 10. This calculation establishes your standard financial baseline. If your current actual net worth falls severely below this threshold, you are classified as an underaccumulator of wealth. You are actively trading your high career salary for short-term luxury comfort and display items. If your actual net worth is double this metric baseline, you are a prodigious accumulator of wealth. You are successfully converting your professional labor into permanent, ironclad freedom. Run this mathematical diagnosis every single 6 months. Treat this baseline calculation as your only metric for true financial success, completely ignoring the artificial social approval of your peer group or neighborhood. This action plan shifts your life focus away from temporary outward performance and anchors it to structural security. When you deploy the cool-off rule, automate your investment infrastructure, and consistently measure your mathematical progress, you build an unyielding defensive fortress around your lifestyle. You stop letting corporate marketing calibrate your identity, and you start constructing real, private leverage. Now, we are entering the final segment of this journey, the ultimate transition from performance to pure liberation. Let's unmask the real definition of freedom in modern America. At the end of the day, America is going to hand you a choice. You can either spend your finite lifetime energy buying things to prove you are successful, or you can use that exact same capital to buy the only asset that actually matters, your total, absolute liberation. Consumer culture has completely corrupted the definition of success. They want you to believe that wealth is measured by what you can display, but true wealth is always measured by what you choose not to buy. It is the silent buffer between you and the chaos of the world. True luxury isn't owning a European vehicle that turns heads at a red light for 3 seconds. True luxury is having an invisible net worth that grants you the legal right to look at a toxic corporate boss, say I quit, and walk away without an ounce of financial panic. It's the ability to wake up on a Monday morning and decide exactly how your next 24 hours are going to unfold. When you trade that profound psychological security for an upscale lease payment or a brand logo, you aren't buying luxury, you are financing your own economic confinement. The people who notice your ordinary car or basic clothes and feel superior are the exact same individuals who will be chained to a cubicle until they are 70 because they have no choice. Dave could stop working tomorrow. Stop performing on a social stage for an audience that doesn't love you. Build your financial fortress silently in the dark, reject the visibility trap, and let your absolute freedom make the noise. Look ordinary, act ordinary, live extraordinary, stay invisible, stay wealthy. See you in the next video.